What's going on, Washington Commanders Nation? It's your boy Rio Robinson back with the latest and greatest on the Rambling with Rio YouTube channel where we ramble about our Washington Commanders. Today is Monday, Victory Monday, November 6th. Washington is coming off a momentous victory over the New England Patriots in which we won 20-17, and Sam Howell looked amazing yesterday. Washington hasn't won a game at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough since 1996, and we haven't beat the Patriots since 2003. I was 5 and I was 12 the last two times Washington beat the Patriots and beat them in New England. So another box for Sam Howell and EB check. Sam survived the Bill Belichick is where young quarterbacks goes to die trope in New England yesterday. And you know it's November when it starts getting chilly out and when Washington is leading the charge in the on the bubble, in the hunt, cliche, control their destiny category, subcategory of the playoff picture. I say subcategory because we rarely are consistently in the last year we were, but we're rarely in the top 7 seeding of the playoff format in the NFC. But we live in the mathematically possible on the bubble playoff picture. That is where we ride home about, baby. I'm telling you, they got it hung up in the locker room today saying on the bubble. Washington is one game back of the Minnesota Vikings, who now have to either play a rookie 6th-round pick out of BYU or Josh Dobbs on his 3rd team of the season right now for the duration of the season. And they got games versus the Detroit Lions that they have to play. So, yet again, here we are. It's not Groundhog's Day, but here we are in another Control Your Destiny playoff run, Mickey Mouse month, November. And when I say Washington turns up in November under Ron Rivera, there is no hyperbole. Washington turns the fuck up in the month of November under Ron Rivera. We're going to go back over some of that data and revisit some of what Washington has done in this November month because we are November contenders, baby. When it comes to the month of November, we look like the Showtime Lakers. We get busy. I don't know if it's because the turkey of Thanksgiving Day. I don't know if it's because Christmas is coming. Maybe Ron likes it when that Mariah Carey song starts circulating on the airwaves. But when that November air comes, we turn into a different group and we ball out before usually inevitably getting smacked with reality when December gets here. But I'm looking at the playoff picture in the NFC. We know about Philly. We know about the San Francisco 49ers. And the other team that appears to be good this year is the Detroit Lions, the media darling Detroit Lions. Other than those 3 teams, there is no certifiable good team in the NFC other than the Dallas Cowboys. So those are the 4 teams. Everything else is a shit show. It's a whoever gets hot at the right time type situation. The NFC in 2023 stands for no fucking clue because we have no idea who's going to come out of this conference other than Philadelphia or who's going to actually challenge for other than Philadelphia this year. So those 3 wild card spots are up for grabs. Seattle owns one right now. We have Seattle on the schedule this week. The Dallas Cowboys own one, and the Minnesota Vikings own one. I don't know how long that's going to last, running with a 3rd-string quarterback for the duration of the season. But Washington, yet again, is in a control your destination situation for the duration of the season. And there is a path, as doom and gloom as I've come on here after some of these games, because that's what we do after losses, especially because Washington loses versus opponents and in a fashion that crushes your soul. We go out and lose to the fucking Bears on prime time. We go out and put up 7 points against a Giants defense that ain't been stopping nobody else but you all year. And then we go toe-to-toe with this team that's favored to win the Super Bowl twice. It's very frustrating, but Positive Rio has now entered the chat, along with the November contender, Washington Commanders. Today, I lay out to you the path for Washington to make the playoffs. Yes, playoffs, the postseason, the offs. We're talking about it today because even when I sit here and I sometimes say shit like I wish Washington would just lose and get a higher draft pick, the fan in me that shows up to FedEx Field does not think about a draft pick when I'm there. I can get in front of a microphone and say it, but in my heart of hearts, I don't believe it. There is clearly a path to make the playoffs in the no fucking clue NFC because in this conference, I think 8 or 9 wins gets you at the 7th seed. 8 or 9 wins. Also, what it does is it reaffirms that even if we do get in the playoffs, that don't mean we keeping Ron Rivera because we snuck in, we backdoor moonwalked our way into the playoffs, but there is a path. Here is the path for Washington to make the playoffs in the 2023 season. 4 games you absolutely have to win. Seattle, Los Angeles, New York, and split with Dallas. 4 games. Those 4 get you to 8 wins on the season, and you got to throw your hat in the ring and hope you can win one out of the Dolphins, 49ers, and Jets. But you must have these 4 games. 1 versus Dallas, versus Danny DeVito's son next week versus the Giants at home, versus the Seattle Seahawks this week up in Seattle, and at LA versus the Rams. You cannot lose another NFC game. We've already started the season 2-4 versus the NFC. The Bears lost, the Giants lost, and getting swept by the Eagles put us absolutely behind the 8 ball. Just imagine the driver's seat we would be in right now if we hadn't lost to the Giants, Bears, or at least split with the Eagles. We'd be 7-2 right now. 7-2 with a franchise quarterback not looking back at all or reflecting on the negativity that has surrounded the team right now. But in Washington fashion, we had to make things harder on ourselves than they needed to be. We're 4-5, and the month of November, where we're absolutely dominant contenders every year, started with a victory versus the Patriots. And this is when we go Mickey Mouse win streaking. This is when we start the Mickey. This is when we get it going. And in my Mickey script, I said Washington goes on a 3-game win streak where they survive in New England. They beat a good team that they shouldn't beat versus Seattle. I don't think Seattle's actually that good, though. I think Seattle can be had. They're definitely susceptible to defeat, and Geno Smith is coming back to reality. He's coming closer to reality this year. So they got to beat Seattle this week. They got to beat the New York Giants next week. And that Giants game still scares me, even with Tommy DeVito, who looks like Jackie Aprile from The Sopranos playing quarterback over there. That game still scares me because the Giants just always find a way versus us. But here's the kicker. Things change if they win these next 3. We will know a lot about this team with how they look versus Dallas on Thanksgiving Day. Our largest audience of the season will be watching on, I believe it's November 23rd, Thursday, November 23rd, when we go up to Jerry World at 4:30 p.m. The national spotlight will never be bigger. You're playing against NFL Disney, NFL Apple, the biggest brand in the NFL, our arch nemesis, Dallas Cowboys, mano a mano with Dakota Rain Prescott on prime time for the whole world to see. I will know what we're about to do in December based on how we look that game. And if we fuck around and win out in November and go on a 4-game heater, that ain't Mickey, baby. That's extended Mickey. If we get the extended Mickey run this year, we may really be in business. Look at the NFC. Everyone's dog water in the NFC this year. This is the year that we could get the cheap playoff spot like we got in 2020 when nobody in the division was good and Dak broke his ankle. The NFC is up for grabs. 9 wins is 100% guaranteed getting a wild card spot. 8 wins has a chance at getting a wild card spot because there are not 7 good teams in the NFC. I don't know if I want a backdoor trip, but the fan in me also has to put it out there. We know Ron is gone regardless. Why not sneak into the playoffs and get something? Because this team just doesn't bottom out. They're not good, and they're also not bad enough to get the top 1, 2, or 3, even 4 or 5 picks in the draft. It's there. You heat up in November. What are you going to do in the month of December when it comes? This is what Washington has done in the month of November since Ron has got here. Our worst record since Ron has gotten here is 2-2. That's the worst record we've had in November since Ron got here. Let's walk back to all the Novembers of Christmas past since Ron's got here in D.C. 2020, COVID year, we went 2-2 in the month of November. The 2 losses coming against the Giants in Detroit. The Detroit game, we came back from like 21 points and tied that thing up. In the final minute, Chase Young gets called for roughing the passer. Matt Stafford gets them down the field. They win the game. And then we beat Joe Burrow his rookie year. He tore his ACL that day, and we beat the Dallas Cowboys with Kyle Allen, I believe. No, that was Alex Smith. Sorry about that. That was on Thanksgiving. We spanked that ass on Thanksgiving Day. Turkey Day, last time we played Dallas, we spanked that ass. That was the last time I seen Antonio Gibson run with vision. Let's go to 2020. So 2020, COVID year, 2-2 in November. 2021, just for those who haven't recollected what was going on in 2021, Ryan Fitzpatrick ran out on the field for 2 series, never saw him again. Water Park Fitz era ended before it started. Taylor Heineke took over the team week 1 of the 2021 season. We went 3-0 in November that year, and we checked a bunch of things off our Mickey Mouse to-do list. We beat the team we weren't supposed to beat when the defending champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers came to Washington. We got in that ass when they came down there. We beat Cam Newton in Carolina when Cam made his return, his I'm Back Panthers game, beat them. And we won a primetime Monday night game versus still good, unwashed Russell Wilson. Undefeated in 2021 in the month of November. Last year should have been a clean sweep 4-0 November for the Commanders. We beat the Monday Night Eagles. We beat the undefeated Eagles on Monday night at the Link. We dogged the Houston Texans in a sack party game, and we won by the hair on our chinny chin chin versus the Atlanta Falcons. Our only loss in the month of November last year came because we just pissed and threw up on ourselves in the last 10 minutes of the Minnesota Vikings game. I remember that game because that was the game that my brother, Jalen, Bleeding B&G, shout out to him, by the way, for just hitting 1K on YouTube. Let's get him to 2, 3, 4, and 5K ASAP. If you're not subbed up to me, sub to my guy, Jalen Morgan, Bleeding B&G. He won us a suite for making a field goal at halftime. So we were sitting in the suites, and it was blackout day versus the Minnesota Vikings. They came to town. We had a 10-point lead on them boys with 10 minutes left in the game. Taylor throws a wonky pick. St. Juice gets a pick 6 called back, and then all momentum and all hopes were lost. Minnesota clutched us and won that game. That was the only loss we had in the month of November last year. So our last November games of recent memory: yesterday, W. Falcons, W. Texans, W. Philadelphia Eagles, W. Minnesota Vikings should have been W, but it was an L. So that's 4-1 in the last 5. And then all W's in 2021. So this is what November's look like for Washington in the last 10 games. W, 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 L, W, 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 L, L. Washington goes to work in the month of November for those who have not been keeping count. This is what we do, and this is when we are fully thriving and leaning into the on the bubble, mathematically possible, control your destiny part of the season. Will Washington face its usual conclusion of being humbled in December when the Jets, the Rams, the Dolphins, the Niners show up on the schedule? Or will Washington extend the Mickey Mouse run into December? Here is why the Mickey run may not feel so Mickey in 2023. We finally have a fucking quarterback. I'm sold. I believe it. I'm not going to overly critique it anymore. My eyes have seen and witnessed over 10 starts a quarterback that can make all the throws at every level. A quarterback that has a fastball and has the touch to drop it in a spot where only the receiver can get the ball, even when covered by just a safety and a cornerback. He made 5 top-level throws yesterday. We have a quarterback that, despite being sacked 44 times in 9 games and 11 turnovers, is second in the league in passing yards, like 6th in completion percentage. The boy is balling. We have a bona fide starting quarterback in this league. So that gives us a chance alone to compete every week. So this may not be a Mickey run. This may be we have a quarterback and he's going to throw us in or out of a game every week. We have a real chance. Some may not want to hear it. This team could make the playoffs in 2023 because the no fucking clue NFC is just open. It's wide ass open. Look at the teams under the Falcons. They're probably going to go back from Heineke to Ritter in the next 2 weeks when Heineke has the Heineke special 0-3 game, 0 touchdown, 3 interception game. They're going to go back to Ritter at some point. They're just cycling through their Jiffy Lube mechanic quarterbacks that they have on their roster. The Buccaneers are starting Baker Mayfield. He's going to get pulled for Kyle Trask at some point. And the Vikings are deciding between Jaron Hall and Josh Dobbs. The literal only wild card that is guaranteed is Dallas. Dallas is a good team. They're going to be in the mix, and they have a chance to win the entire NFC this year. They're the only guaranteed wild card spot because Seattle is not a guaranteed wild card lock either. They're a good team, well coached, have the top 3, probably top 2 general manager in the game in John Snyder. But other than the top 5 teams in this conference, the last 2 spots are up for grab to whoever wants to step up and say, I'm here. And one thing I do know about my consistently inconsistent Washington Commanders football team, Redskins, whatever the fuck you want to call them, is that in the month of November, under Ronald Eugene Rivera, them boys don't play. Them boys don't play. So when I tell you I'm confident we're going to win in Seattle this week, I am very confident we're going to win in Seattle next week, and we're going to beat the Giants next week. And in Washington fashion, we're going to look better versus Seattle than we do next week versus the Danny DeVito-led New York Giants. Because that is typical Washington shits, and Washington finna Washington. So buckle up, y'all. It's November, and we don't be losing like that in November. It's Mickey Mouse season. Play the Mariah Carey Christmas music because it's time to go, baby. It's time for Washington to go on our Ron Rivera swan song Mickey Mouse run. But the kicker is that we finally have a quarterback. Sam Howell is him. And I believe in this kid. And I believe that we could actually play meaningful football in January this year. And this is the part of the season where we always get suckered back in with these goddamn playoff graphics. Will we be let up? Will we be let down again? We shall see. I'm not going to feel too bad about it because I know in 2024, change is on the way. A new GM and a new coaching staff is on the way. But until we get there, let's make this shit fun. Let's make Washington fun again. Let's make it fun again. I want to have fun in December at the stadium. I want to put my Letterman on in December and have fun at the games playing meaningful football. You know how depressed I was at that Browns game last year? You know, we can get eliminated from the playoffs today game? I was miserable. That was my son's first ever game. We were having the time of our lives in the pregame. We got to go on the field and everything. My son had a ball. He had a blast until football started being played. He was just like, damn, Dad, we suck. I was like, son, I know. That is why I never pressured you to be a football fan. I'm kind of glad my son doesn't watch football. My son's a soccer kid. He's a soccer kid. He's a computer whiz. He's going to build and create games and computers and PCs one day. Glad I didn't force my passions on him, but it's our time to shine. It's in November, and I expect Washington to come with some dubs and stack some W's this month. It's time to stack them up. It's November. It is when we thrive. That's all I got for right now. Enjoy the rest of your Victory Monday. 4-5, right behind the 7th seed Minnesota Vikings. What we going to do this year? We going to see. Deuces.